Alright, the standard form of a quadratic equation is y equals ax squared plus bx plus c, where a represents the leading coefficient in front of the x squared, b represents the coefficient in front of the normal x raised to the first degree, and c is the other coefficient that is matched up. So in this case, our a value in this 2x squared plus 3x minus 5, our a value corresponds to 2, while our b value corresponds to the value of 3, and our c value is a negative 5. Make sure we keep the sign that's attached to the coefficient in front to that number, so we can make sure we keep that value incorporated within it. Now, in order to graph this, we've been dealing with lines before. Now we're dealing with quadratic equations. We want to see what this looks like on a graph on a calculator. So to do that, we'll bring up our calculator, and we'll bring that on over, and we're going to go ahead and graph this in your normal TI-84. So what we do is, after we turn our calculator on, we're going to go to our y equals key and get to our graphing menu. Notice over here on the side you can see the keys that I'm going to be pressing. Then I'm going to hit obviously 2x, which is our key right here, and I can either do the caret key raised to the second power, or I do have a square key right here. So I'm going to hit my square key and plus 3x minus 5. And I'm going to go to my zoom standard window, so I hit my zoom, and my standard window is zoom 6. I go down to 6, go down to 6, hit enter, and that's going to give me a 10 by 10 window. And you notice I now am dealing with a curve, and that's because of this x squared. The quadratic equations always have a little bend. So a couple things that I'm interested in with this value that I can find out. I can find out vertex, which is the bottom of the valley. I can also find out some x-intercepts, where I'm going to be interested in. And one technique I can find out my x-intercepts is simply I go back to my y menu, and now for y2 I go down and I'm going to plug in the value of 0. And what this does, I can show you what it does when we graph it. We're going to change it till we get the circle going so we can see it a little bit better as we graph it. When I graph this, you can see it. I'm actually graphing a line on top of the x-axis, and what that's going to allow me to do, it's going to allow me to use my intersect key function in order to find out where these two lines intersect, and that'll help me find out the exact location. And to use my intersect button to find out the location where it crosses the x-axis, I'm going to hit my trace button to bring up my bug, and I'll move my bug up a little bit more closer to the intersection. I'm going to do second calc, and you see down in option number 5. Option number 5 is my intersect key, so I'm going to hit enter. And it's going to ask me the first curve. Yes, this is the first curve I'm interested in doing, which is my parabola. I'm interested, so I hit enter. And then the computer's asking me, or the calculator's asking me, is that my second curve, which is a horizontal line on top of the x-axis? Yes. I hit enter. And it asked me if I would like to take a guess, and I'm not going to take a guess, so I hit enter for a third time. And it'll give me, you notice right here, the intersection point for that where it crosses the x-axis is value of x equals 1, and obviously y equals 0. Now to find out the other intersection location, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to hit second calc, option number 5, except this time I need to move the bug over to this side, so I'm going to use my left arrow key to get him closer to the intersection. I need to move him closer to the intersection that I'm interested in, and I hit enter, and it asks me if that's my second curve, which is the y equals 0, and then, of course that's what I'm interested in. I'm going to take a guess. No. I hit enter one more time, and I get an intersection button on negative 2, 0.5, and 0. So that's a technique that I can, after I graph the parabola or the quadratic equation, I can find out where it crosses the x-axis by graphing another line at y equals 0 and using my intersecting key to find out those two locations.